Hey everybody, this is the final video in my 2017 curriculum videos, and this is the high school one that you've been waiting a long time for. I tried to get it together and I had a cough and it just was not working for me to get all those videos done at one time. So here I am finally with the last installment of our curriculum for this year. So I only have one high schooler this year. She is 16 and she is highly creative. I hope you'll see in this video how we are making the curriculum fit her specific needs and passions and interests, because I really feel like that's what high school is about. High school for homeschoolers needs to be about honing those skills that they have already begun to establish and those interests and passions that they want to pursue that may potentially become a career or a side income or even just a hobby that gives them a lot of satisfaction. I really do believe that it is a great thing for people to have hobbies and diversions and things that they can actually bring to the table in any instance. You know, you think about if you are in a church setting, what do you bring to the table for other believers that you are sharing with them the gifts that God has given you? I want to hone some skills in my kids so that when they are together with a body of believers, they bring something to the table. So I hope you see that in this video, what we're doing with my daughter. So we're going to start off, as always, Monday morning is the Picture Smart Bible. Never know which way to turn it with the camera. Picture Smart Bible. This is Monday only. It's a fairly intense Bible program. So you're going through the Bible. We're doing the New Testament in a fairly intense way. It's pictures that you trace and you color in, and I hope you can see there how that works. So you trace all that in and then you write in the information that they tell you as I'm reading the lesson. Everything is scripted for the parent teacher. So you are explaining everything, you're going through the Bible, you're reading verses, you're talking about how all these pieces fit together. There is a ton of information and it usually takes us more than 1 week. I own a digital copy of Picture Smart Bible. They do have hard copies as well. I got the digital copy in a homeschool bundle a few years ago, and I have decided to only use the older version with my kids. I just print off an already completed page for my younger kids to color, and my older kids then do the actual tracing and such with me. In fact, my kids who are 6 and 8 are also doing it as well. They're a little slower, and I usually have a completed one right in front of them so that they can catch up if they need to. But we're all doing it together, and I feel like that was the only one I really needed to purchase. But I believe I got the other one in a curriculum bundle as well. So, and the digital version is working just fine for us. As I've said in the other videos, after we have our Bible time, the kids disperse. Now on the other days besides Monday, we're doing a children's story Bible and a read aloud. And my 16-year-old sits in on those, even though like the child's story Bible is kind of beneath her. There's still a lot of information in there. I try to pick meaty story Bibles that have a lot of good information even for the older crowd. So from there, she moves to the computer and she starts teaching textbooks. She is in geometry. This is the last math credit that she needs for high school. She will need a college algebra for her degree. She's planning on being an American Sign Language interpreter. And so she'll need a college algebra class, and we're trying to decide at this point if we're going to do concurrent classes with the local college here or how we're going to handle that. But she is about halfway through her geometry with teaching textbooks. If you're not familiar with teaching textbooks, you have this huge book that you could do standalone. You wouldn't necessarily need to use the CDs, but I highly recommend you do use the CDs because they do all the lessons, they do all the teaching, all the grading. Everything is on there. So she has this as a reference, but she does most of it by watching the screen, and it gives her all the information, and then she goes through the problems. All the problems are in this book as well. So if like a few weeks ago, like we did, and we misplaced one of the CDs, we were still able to do the work until we found the CD. So that's how teaching textbooks works. And then the rest of her morning is spent either doing an assignment from Tapestry of Grace, usually the literature. Like right now, we're in World War II, and she is reading The Hiding Place by Corrie ten Boom. And then she also has her science that she does in the morning, and that's Apologia Science. Now, they have CDs with the lectures and all kinds of things on them. And I've talked to her just recently about, does she want to switch to that instead of just reading the book? And this is one seriously gigantic book. Lots of information in here. It's taking her a while to get through it. She has really been dragging her feet on it. Some of that, I wonder if it has to do with the fact that she doesn't want to do the dissection lab, although I've already purchased the dissection lab. She's going to do it. There's no way around it, but I kind of wonder, is she like trying to not get to the dissection part? She's not real into science. Even though these books are really well written and very informative, she's just kind of plodding through them. So we've kind of talked about the fact that she still has one more science credit after this to get accomplished, and so she kind of needs to speed it up a little bit. So I'm hoping that I've kind of lit a fire under her with that. Speaking of science credits, we do require 3 science credits, 1 with the lab, and I also allow 1 to be a survey where you just read and engage with the text through conversations with me. So that's kind of how we do science here. So she's already had 1 other science, and then she'll have this biology, and then we're trying to decide. She's thinking maybe anatomy and physiology. As an artist and a photographer, she thinks that would be most beneficial to her. Megan also tries to fit in an ASL lesson, American Sign Language, into her morning. And she does that by using a few websites and different resources. She's done a video, which I will link to down below, on the resources that she uses, but a couple that she uses a lot are lifeprint.com. They have an entire course curriculum that you can go through that's really very good. I've gone through some of them as well. And then ASL Pro, and she uses ASL Pro mostly to look up individual signs that she's not sure of. She'll look it up on ASL Pro, and that way she has what that sign is. She also spends a lot of time with the deaf community here in the city that we live in, and so that's her interaction, which you really need when learning a language. And that's why I wanted to bring up the next thing, even though she's not using it this year, is italki. It's italki.com, and it is a foreign language site that utilizes Skype in order to have lessons face to face with another language speaker. You can also have language partners on there, but there are teachers on there, and you pay them via real live money. I think it's like PayPal is how that transaction is happening. But you have the benefit of seeing that person and conversing with them, and it's a really great way to learn a foreign language. I feel like many of the homeschool foreign language options are not sufficient because you don't actually learn the language. Now, if you're just trying to get a credit, great. Most of the high school kids out there in the public school world are just trying to get their credit. They aren't really planning on speaking that language any other time. But my daughter is really into languages, and so she took French via italki, and she is actually trying to hone those skills again. She left off for a while, and she's trying to get back some of that. She has the opportunity to be a part of a kind of a conversational French class via the homeschool group here, and so she's trying to hone those skills again and hopefully kind of build upon them from here. But italki was a fantastic way to do that. You also can take American Sign Language that way, but where she has the ability to be with the deaf community here, she hasn't really needed that. After lunch, we are all back together, usually at the dining room table, sometimes in the living room if I'm going to be doing a project or a video that requires our Apple TV up there. But we are back together for Tapestry of Grace. This is just a notebook that I put Tapestry of Grace into. It comes shrink wrapped in 4 separate units, and everything you need is right there. So it goes by units, and in these units there's chapters, and each chapter has plenty of teacher's notes. It has the notes to the student. It has all of the assignments. Everything is in there. There is also more than I could possibly ever use in Tapestry of Grace. Marcia Somerville, who wrote Tapestry of Grace, really intended it for it to be a smorgasbord of information. And I think some people kind of get caught up in the notion that you're supposed to do everything. And that is not at all what she intended. She intended for you to pick and choose, and she wanted you to have a vast array of options to choose from. But a lot of moms get bogged down by Tapestry of Grace because they think they have to do it all. I do have a video on how I plan for Tapestry of Grace, and I will link that at the end. There'll be a box up in the corner that will show you to that video so that you can see how I pick and choose the things that we will do in Tapestry. I am very laid back with Tapestry. I feel like it's the spine to our day. It's where our literature comes from. It's where our history comes from. A lot of our geography, church history, music and art appreciation, a lot of it comes from Tapestry. That is the backbone to our day. But I'm not doing everything that's in it. I don't use it for writing, not usually. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I like the writing assignments in there and I want to grab that. There's some other things I just pick and choose from. I'm not really militant about using every single thing that is in the lesson plan. And that is perfectly all right. I have loved using Tapestry. I strayed from it for a couple of years and I went straight back to it because it really does have everything I'm looking for. I like to teach history chronologically. I like to have input as to what I need to say to my students. And I also like if there's going to be some sort of difficult conversation that I might need to have pertaining to the literature or other assignments that are in there. I want a heads up about that. And I want some ideas in how to have that conversation. And that is in Tapestry of Grace. I don't have to guess as to how I can talk this through with my child. I like to have notes. I like somebody to kind of help me through that. And so that's what Tapestry has been for me. And I have really, really enjoyed going through Tapestry. We are actually in the final year, year 4. This is World War II right now is where we're at. And it's been exciting. We've actually never gotten to this year. So I'm really excited about being here and then starting over with a new crowd of kids. That's going to be super exciting too. So we're huge Tapestry of Grace fans. I actually have a page on my blog about it. I will link to that below as well if you're interested in it. And maybe it's overwhelmed you. I think you will see that the way that I do it is not overwhelming at all. I want to take just a second to talk about government here because Tapestry of Grace has a government component. And while we do use some of that, most of our government comes from something called Teen Pact. Our kids go to this class. It's a state class called Teen Pact. It is held at the state capitol usually, and it's predominantly homeschoolers, and it does count as government credit for your high schoolers. And it is very intense. There are essays to be written. You have to read the Constitution. You have to learn how to write a bill and present that bill. You learn about parliamentary procedure. You learn about the way that bills are presented and the ways that they are voted on and how they are approved. You also have devotions at night and you have prayer walks during the day. And it is a fantastic way for your student to become a Christian statesman. If you're not familiar with Teen Pact, I highly recommend you check out teenpact.com. Look on their website, see if there is a state class in your state. And if there isn't, think about finding out a way to start one. There's very few states left that don't have a Teen Pact class, but there are still a few out there. And some of them have more than one. So just take a look. Like I said, it is fantastic. We've been doing it now for many, many years. My son has been governor and a senator, and he also, I guess, staffed it. Like last year, I think was when he staffed it, or maybe the year before. So there's lots of opportunities for leadership there. If you want your child to learn leadership skills and a solid understanding of a biblical worldview of government, this would be the thing you need to do. And along that same vein, I also have my daughter reading Understanding the Times. This is a Summit Ministries book, and it is very much pop culture and how it affects our worldview and how our worldview has affected pop culture. It also talks about different religions and how they have affected our worldview as well. Yes, I just dropped the book. Um, so that is Understanding the Times by Dr. David Noble. And I said doctor. I'm not sure he's a doctor because it doesn't have doctor at the end of his name. So I don't know. David Noble. There you go. There is an updated version of this. It doesn't look like this. The cover is different. So if you're looking for this, I have the older version. Now in the second semester, I believe I'm going to have Megan start economics. This is something that I require before they graduate. And this is from a Christian worldview. This is from Compass Classroom, but R.C. Sproul Jr. did this, and Compass Classroom added visual to it, and they did a really good job with it. I pretty much love everything Compass Classroom comes out with. You can almost guarantee it's going to be a stellar production. So this is how we do economics in our school. I have a review of this curriculum on my site, and I'll put that link down below as well so you can see a little bit more about it. As with the other kids, we also are doing art 1 or 2 times a month with See the Lights art class. This is a 9 DVD series. I have several posts on my blog. I think there's some videos here as well about See the Light and how we use it. We also do some of their projects throughout the year for the holidays, and they are just a fantastic art program because they're very much grab and go. You have a lot of the things already on hand, or you probably want them on hand. They are easy to use. They span multiple ages. You can use it with all ages all the time. It's a very easy curriculum to implement in your day, and I have a coupon code for you. You can get 20% off plus free shipping in the United States if you use the code Raising Arrows, all caps. You do need to put it into your cart and start the checkout process before you can actually apply the discount. So make sure that you do that. But you can get 20% off, free shipping. So that is really worth it to get this much art. I mean, this will last you your whole homeschooling career. You won't need to get anything else. I mentioned the ASL, the American Sign Language, that my daughter loves so much. That's one of her passions, and you can see how we've incorporated that into her school day. Another one of her passions is photography. So what we have done is we have helped her establish a photography blog, and she also put together a digital teen photographer magazine. And that is free for people to download every time it comes out, and then it goes into her store where it's for sale very cheaply. It's not super expensive. They are very well done magazines, and I'm not just saying that because I'm her mother, but I am very proud of the work that she does. She has people who are writing for her. She's got beautiful photography in there. She's got lots of very practical tips, especially for the teen photographer. So you can check that out at diversereflections.com, and I will have the link directly to the Teen Photographer magazine down below as well, and you can snag a free copy of that and see just what kind of things she's offering, because it really is, it's her passion, and I think you will see that in her work. And then the post that is related to this video, I also put a few more of her photos, but if you go to diversereflections.com, you will see a lot of her work there. I will keep wondering if you can hear my kids in the background because they're all just right out there. That's just kind of how I have to do things. But I wanted to be able to bring you this video and it not be like the middle of the night when I was doing it. So forgive all the noise out there. They're just being kids. Okay, so besides the photography and the ASL, she's also a writer and an artist. She does a lot of art and pencil work. And then her writing, she has always loved to write, and she has just found the wonder that is Wattpad.com. That's WATTPAD, and she is writing a science fiction book on there right now. You can do it as a work in progress. And so if you get on there, and I will put that link down below as well, you'll see the work in progress that she has called I Am Mortal. and that is her science fiction book. And so she does a lot of writing. That's just kind of in her blood. But you might be wondering how we teach writing in high school, because I get a lot of questions about that, and I'm always kind of a little hesitant about the way that we do it because it may not work for everybody and it may sound kind of crazy. It's very out of the box. So just hang on with me here for a second. So the truth of the matter is, I don't teach formal writing. Well, I do, but I don't teach it the way that most people teach it. I don't have a ton of writing assignments when my kids are younger. I let them have fun with writing. They see me writing, they read a lot, they know what good writing sounds like, and I let them kind of naturally tumble into writing and enjoy it. I want them to enjoy words and putting those words together. And I kind of guide them along this path. So about the time they hit junior high, they start writing more and more and more, but they're still doing it on their own. Like, for instance, my 12-year-old right now is writing a story. She's not the best speller, and she doesn't completely have all the grammar down, but we are working through it, and she's seeing how that works as I kind of walk her through it. And I'm not like constantly on her about it. I think that takes the love of writing out of a child as well, but I'm helping her with it. She's also seeing, like with the spelling, she's seeing where spell check is catching some of her words, and she's like, oh, that's not how you spell that. You need to spell it like this. She's looking at books to see where she needs to put quote marks and commas. So she's learning, she's interacting with the text that she's writing on a topic she enjoys. And she's actually, what she's doing right now is what's called fan fiction. So she's taking characters in movies that she enjoys or characters in books that she enjoys, and she's writing about those characters. And that makes it where it's something that she actually enjoys. So with my 16-year-old, she did all of that before. Now what she's doing is with Teen Pack, she's got essays. So I taught her how to write a proper essay, which is not hard. There's tons of resources online for you to learn how to do that. If you don't want to look it up yourself, I do recommend Institute for Excellence in Writing. I would recommend it with a lot of tweaks because it can sometimes feel like too much for the homeschool mom, but it does have a very good basis. Tapestry of Grace also has a writing program. I don't know enough about it to say that it's going to teach you everything you need to know. I'm sorry, I just don't have that information on it. But knowing the caliber of Tapestry of Grace, I would imagine it probably does. Another one I've heard a lot of things about, but I don't know anything about, is Brave Writer. So those are maybe some that you could do if you're not comfortable Googling how to write an essay, or you don't remember how to write an essay from back when you were writing them. But it is a very simple format, and that's where I start. I start with lots of little essays. And then from there, I require 2 research papers by the time my kids graduate. And those are usually based on what we're learning in Tapestry of Grace. And I also teach them how to write those research papers. I remember very well from college. I have a degree in English. And so because of that, I know the mechanics of writing. And so it's not been difficult for me to just teach my kids. They do take a crash course in grammar. We're using a book called Our Native Tongue by Nancy Wilson. And I will do that about the time they're 8th grade, freshman, sophomore, somewhere around in there. They will take that crash course, and it just kind of runs them through all the logistics of putting together sentences and all of that. I don't feel like that's too late. I feel like at that point, they can actually make sense of it all. I think prior to that, yes, you're drilling it, but I don't feel like they're making it their own. And like I said, I know this is a little outside the box for a lot of you, but that's how I do it. So I do require, like I said, the essays are just an ongoing thing, and then the 2 research papers about their junior and senior year. So that's everything my high schooler is doing this year. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments section, or you can go to the post and kind of read more from there about what we're doing. But I really hope that you kind of see the full picture where we're going with their high school years. You've got the academics and you've got the passions, and they kind of mesh together, and she's getting credit for all of this stuff because it all counts. The things that are more passions, those are going to be your electives, and the things that are in line with the academics, obviously those are your required graduation courses. What we choose to do is look at our state's required courses, and we also look at any colleges that they're interested in, and try to see what they need to be taking, and then just fashion our 4 high school years after that. And it's worked really well for us. My son is actually going to be a sophomore at a private Christian university, and he has a 4.0, and he's doing really well with his studies. Megan, who is 16, her passion is to, like I said, be an ASL interpreter. We're thinking she'll probably move into that here fairly soon, where she'll get started with some of those credits and go ahead and it's a 2-year degree, and then get where she can take the test and become an interpreter. So I hope you enjoyed this, and we will see you later. This is the end of the curriculum videos, and I kind of am relieved. This has been, like I said, I told some people I kind of bit off more than I could chew. I thought I could get all these videos and all the podcasts and all the posts out at one time, and I realized I could not. So I'm actually kind of glad to be done with this, and we'll move on to some new topics.